Howdy, hey, hi, Spaceman Josh here, and welcome to Into Space 2. Now, I know I've played Into Space, but I didn't really want to continue with that one. The controls were a bit iffy, the frame rate really wasn't what I needed it to be, so I'm going to go ahead and just play Into Space 2 for y'all, and this one, no matter how bad it is, I am determined to get to the end of this one for you all. So let's go ahead and get into the game. So from the looks of it, into the businessman from Into Space did pretty well, made a pretty decent company, and the scientist is still hired, even though it took him dozens, if not hundreds of times to get into space. And by the looks of it, we're heading to Mars or some other red planet. But it could be another one, but I mean, there's a UFO in the picture, but still, I really only think it's probably only going to go to Mars. They're constructing somewhere. Where is that? Is that in the middle of the desert, or is that on Mars? I really hope it's in the middle of the desert, otherwise this would be a really bad played out cutscene thing. Oh, I think maybe it was like the businessman was paying the person to go into space, and I guess like now that he did it, he can start a company. But the businessman gets a certain like percentage or something. It's probably something along those lines. New goal, Mars. No comment. Can we continue? We can't continue. Rover into weird into a thing I don't remember the name of. This looks like a duck. Going to a rocket. They're going to start building a rocket. This one doesn't look like much better than the one that barely got to the moon. So, I mean... Well, there's the start button again. I know you didn't see it on my Into Space video, but that's sort of... That was right after the cutscene in that one, too. Are we seriously only going to the moon again? Pick up bonuses to earn money, restore fuel or repair. Lightning strikes will turn off the engine and do damage. Hitting any object will damage the hull. Excuse me. Fly through these gates to speed up. There's the pause button, the final goal, checkpoints, altimeter, main engine fuel level sensor, speedometer, and speedometer. Vertical speed and real speed. Okay. So if those two are very far apart, you probably angled a little too much. At least for video games. Boosters, fuel sensor level, and something I can't see because it's cut off on the bottom. I can use the arrow keys or WASD, so I'm going to do WASD. 3, 2, 1, blast off! Plot twist, it doesn't go anywhere. Yeah, why is the bottom of the game cut off? That's not even the recording thing, that's just the game itself. How would I want to turn off the engine? Is there actually a strategic move for that? Turn off the engine as you approach a storm cloud, turn it back on after you pass it. I wouldn't have enough thrust for the first few days to even consider that one, so I'm not going to worry about it. It wants me to pick up that money, but I mean I couldn't. Oh, I can. That's interesting. I'm holding down D to turn right. Oh, I think I can only do it with the... Yep, okay, there goes that. Hey, I can see the actual speed. Yeah, like the entire bottom of the game is just completely cut off. I got to 8,000 feet. They even had an unofficial stamp to condone this. If this is the second game, they've built the company, they've made it to the moon, shouldn't you have an amazing rocket that already is able to go into the moon? Shouldn't you not have to start completely over? Shouldn't you allow me to hit the continue button? Thank you. Ooh, what's this? Reduce weight. Ooh, that's a factor in this one now. Ooh, what's this? The Mach 1 head section. The Mach 1 large. Or is it light? That means light. Light but fragile alloys. There's a lot more to consider in this game. I like that. Let's reduce the weight, reduce the air resistance, and reduce the fuel consumption. We lost 210 pounds. Or kilograms, I don't know what system they're using. But assuming they used feet in terms of altitude, I would assume they're using pounds. The controls are still there because I've not completed everything they wanted me to. Or I just didn't do it. I don't want to keep going right. Let me turn left. Stop it. Let me turn left. No, you're just gonna... Okay. I blew up. How is that still alive? It's still alive, look at that! It's not ready to get destroyed. But somehow it survived. And now it's stuck on D again. Well, it blew up for real this time. What? I got to half the distance as last time. And they condoned that one too. They're like, yes, this was a good flight. What'd be interesting is if they had a mechanic in the game where you actually, there was a cost to make the rocket every single time. Like the beginning rocket could be virtually, you know, almost nothing to make. But have it be like, as you upgrade the rocket and get better stuff, those better upgrades also increase the cost to make the rocket every single time you get it destroyed. That'd be an interesting mechanic. Have it to be for if you end up getting past a certain negative number, you end up having to go bankrupt because you can't return from that number. Or hit continue. I think it may have froze on me for a little bit. Because I know you can probably hear me hitting the mouse pad. I'll give it like another 30 seconds to think. And see if it really does anything. If not, we may have to end the video a little bit early. Even though we may have to end it early, though, we still have time for Nerd Alert, because as my alarm is about to go off, because we are hitting the 10-minute mark, and it registered the continue as well, so it wasn't a complete loss. It is time for this episode's Nerd Alert. I'm glad I get to take a break from thinking about that, too. So, for today's Nerd Alert, I know that for Into Space, I was kind of jumbled and really didn't... It was kind of obvious I didn't have a lot prepared for that one. This one, though, I do have a really interesting fact how, with this one, how it seems that they wanted to go to Mars. Something I was able to look up is that the distance from Earth to Mars, well, it does change. The average distance between Earth and Mars is about 225 million kilometers. The closest being about 54.6 million kilometers, and the farthest being 401 million kilometers. Now, what's interesting is in the night sky currently, it's for the 2018 summer, is that the Mars is actually was recently, I believe it was in late July, I want to say, that actually I think it was early mid-July, where it was reaching the closest point in its orbit between Earth and Mars. And with it being so close, I actually think it was something along the lines of, because our numbers aren't always perfect, and the orbits that we have aren't perfect, and so I think there was something along the lines of that Mars is actually, there was a point, a couple of weeks back where it's actually the closest to Earth that it had ever been, and sort of from the numbers that we've recorded, which is something really interesting. But like I said, the average distance, that's the main thing, was it's between Earth and Mars is 225 million kilometers. That is the distance that this rocket has to cross in order to get to Mars. So, without further ado, let's try to get back into the game. I don't have enough money to get anything in it because it freaked out on me, so I'm just going to continue going. Whoa, that was an actual countdown. And then it stopped on go. There it goes. For a second, it looked like the frame rate was going to be above 10 or 5. Because I don't have the numbers with me for Flash games, but that sort of seems to be the idea of what it's been getting at, is the frame rate's so bad that it actually gets stuck and it thinks that a button is still pressed when it's not. Hey, look, I'm about to reach my best height. And there's the first checkpoint. Or actually, no, that's the second one, sorry. I reached another checkpoint by letting go of the first stage. Now I'm out of fuel. Wait, if I'm out of fuel, why am I still going? That is a big lump. I can't avoid it, I can't even turn. Good thing I ran out of fuel just before then, and took out a helicopter. The first game you take out airplanes, the second game you take out helicopters. Ooh, there's the first stage. How come the first stage didn't blow up? When you end up hitting the ground, it blows up. But when it just lands on its own, it doesn't blow up. This isn't SpaceX or Blue Origin. We're not advanced enough to land it straight up, and it obviously didn't land straight up. It looked like it was beaten up. But it should have exploded. I have $180. Woo! What is this, 50? 10% more money, I need that. I need that pretty badly. The money curve in this game seems to be at least double the size of what the first game was. The first game I didn't take it wasn't nearly as bad to sort of gain money and sort of get going on the upgrades as much as this game was. Which that's good and bad. It's requires the gamer to put more time into it, and it requires them, if by the end game they've enjoyed it more, because they've accomplished something that took in more time than just holding the mouse at the top of the screen like I did, and just watching it fly up. And like in this game, I haven't checked the settings to see if that's a setting, but the fact that it tells you right away, hey, you're using the keyboard, not the mouse or anything like that, it requires more interaction. And the fact there are 2 stages, it's a little bit more accurate. This game, for me personally, from just sort of the basic knowledge I know on rockets, because really I know more on space than I do rockets. I mean, I'm not good at rocket science, it's rocket science. But it's a lot more accurate than the first game, and there is a little bit more difficulty to it, which I do enjoy a good challenge. So I would probably say this game, if the frame rates were decent enough for me to be able to play this and be able to actually play it like it was meant to be played. Personally, I think this game is a lot better than the first one. I'm falling so fast, there's ripples in time and space, so time slows down. It freezes for short periods of time. It's not frame rate. I'm making a ripple in time and space. Without teleporting. Cargo 0%. I just noticed that, and I have no idea what that means. Do you have to, is that why there's weight? You have to load, you have to take cargo there? And are you going to build a base on Mars? By the end of this game? Well, we'll find out. I mean, I did tell you all that I'm going to continue doing this game. I think it somewhat froze on me again. But I gained $127 from it. And if you're going to the Mars instead of the moon, like, I'm going to assume that you have to go to the moon and then go to Mars, otherwise I will be severely disappointed that they didn't change this sort of image. There it goes! I think now what I'm going to do is I am going to reduce fuel consumption again. 3, 2, 1, blast off! Honestly, if you just didn't move at all until you got towards the 3rd checkpoint, you wouldn't have to move at all. Actually, if I moved now, it'd probably be a little bit easier, so I didn't run into that blimp that puts there on purpose. This is what I'm assuming, because otherwise it wouldn't have the circle thing that says, here, avoid this, that's clearly in your path, this is the first thing you're going to encounter of this size. The D-button is not working anymore. Let's try the keyboard, the actual keys, the arrows. The arrows are not working either. I don't think I can move this anymore. Can I turn off the engine? I don't know if it's my laptop, if it's the game, or if it's just my keyboard. But it's not registering changes in the keyboard, and therefore I'm kind of just stuck going up. It was working fine, you know, a minute ago. I was using it, and it was getting stuck as I was using it. I have a feeling this is going to be a continuous problem of hitting continue, and it's going to take like 30 seconds to go back. Yeah, no, this is starting to get a little frustrating. But nonetheless, we are approaching the 20-minute mark, and so we are at the end of the episode. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. If you are liked enough to hit the like button, you enjoyed it far more than I did. This was a very interesting game. It's a really fun game. It really is, but the frame rates were not there for me to be able to actually enjoy it, unfortunately. But if you want to see more of my videos, or hear more nerd alerts, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If you want to, turn on notifications. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Spaceman Josh, out.